G2 started their final week of the regular season with two rather poor performances against LEC Esports and Mad Lions. However, going into the last game of the regular season, they were still in control of their own destiny, as a win over SK Gaming would lock them in first place, giving them the option to choose their first round playoff opponent. Today, we're going to go over some of the small details of G2's early game, looking at how their laners and jungler constantly interact to help each other out to make sure neither of them fall behind. Before going into game though, it's important to note one main thing about the draft. Caps blind picked Yone, which was responded by the LeBlanc pick from Blue. This matchup is rough for Yone in the early game, as he gets pushed in and he can get poked out, so helping him get through the lane is really crucial. The game begins with a fairly standard line of scrimmage. Jankos moves in toward the enemy Raptors to get information on Hecarim's pathing, but the ward is swept away and the ward kill is given to Blue, who will now have enough experience to hit level 2 on the first mid-wave, further giving him the advantage in this matchup. Either way, G2 knows that Hecarim is pathing top to bot as Psy unleashed for him, evidenced by the mana spent and the late arrival to the lane. With both junglers clearing top to bot, the bot side scuttle would likely be the first big point of contention. At level 1, SK's bot lane decide to push the wave, using Kai's Sakathian Rain to nuke it. G2 let the wave come into them and hold it just outside of tower range. As the second wave comes in, SK push it in once again, and Reckless tanks the wave, just like he did before, outside of the turret's range while Mickey X attempts to clear the ward in the river. In the meantime, Blue, who has lane priority in mid, spots Jankos at his Raptors with a ward, so SK know the G2 jungler is pathing from top to bot as well. G2 are holding minions close to their turret as it allows them to look for two different options. The first option is to potentially set up a gank, as SK needs to overextend to hit the enemy minion wave. But with Jankos being spotted and with G2 being unable to clear SK's vision, this is much harder to execute. Instead, G2's goal is to get the wave to bounce and push out, because the minions are meeting close to their side. G2's next wave will arrive and reinforce the previous wave before SK's, giving them a temporary minion advantage. Right here, G2 have 9 minions to SK's 6, just as Jankos is finishing his Krugs. They push out the lane and gain priority just as the scuttle spawns, and the ability to move out of the lane first allows them to help Jankos secure it. After securing the scuttle crab, Jankos spots Tinks moving into mid lane and follows him in. G2 are in a good position for this 2v2 as Hecarim has already used his E earlier and doesn't have it for the fight. G2 trade onto LeBlanc and chunk her out. After the trade, while Tinks leaves lane, Jankos stays and helps Caps push out. Seeing the state of the top lane wave, Tinks sees a window to gank, giving SK first blood. However, Caps TPs in and helps Jankos kill Genax for a 1-for-1 trade. LeBlanc has TP, so why doesn't she join the fight? Well, earlier on, Jankos helped Caps push out the wave, which left LeBlanc under her turret with a big wave to farm. Teleporting in to join this fight poses so many risks, as you can come out empty-handed without any kills, while also losing all the creeps in mid. In the aftermath of the top lane trade, and despite being almost dead, Jankos is able to force Tinks off the top scuttle as well. Why? Because Jankos still has smite and he has red buff, so he can force the 1v1, meaning Tinks has to back off. How did this happen? After their jungler grabbed the bot side scuttle, G2's bot lane went back to the lane and kept pushing it. With level 3, Xayah now has more tools to push in the wave as she has access to all her spells. After pushing out the wave, they quickly recall and Mickey runs straight to mid lane. Jezu wants to match Reckless's recall here as well, but in order to do this, Treats has to hold the wave for him, which delays the SK support from recalling and being out on the map like Mickey. With Hecarim out of the picture, Mickey X does two more things to help out his mid laner. He holds the wave to make sure the minions aren't lost to the tower, and then also cancels LeBlanc's base. With the wave pushing in and looking at potentially losing over a wave of experience, LeBlanc is immediately forced to teleport back to the lane, and SK lose their TP advantage. In a normal situation, SK would likely prefer to conserve it to use it later on. While G2 didn't get a significant gold lead from this, they were able to secure the double scuttle crab for Jankos and keep Caps in a good position in a tough early game matchup. At 6 minutes, Tinks attempts to contest the enemy Raptors again. Jankos wins the smite fight and his experience lead gives him level 6. G2's mid laner and jungler initiate the fight and kill Hecarim, but SK's bot lane had priority and were able to collapse and trade back. However, Jesu uses his flash trying to finish off Caps. G2 now know that they can easily punish Kai'Sa. Once Jesu shows up in the river trying to return to lane, Mickey X instantly forces the issue, helping his team grab another kill. In the aftermath of this kill, notice what Jankos does. He moves into the bot lane and helps Reckless and Mickey push out so they can recall. He does this as the team does not have info on the enemy jungler and want to avoid a potential fight with Hecarim showing up in the bot side. Despite not doing anything out of the ordinary, G2 had an 800 gold lead at 8 minutes 30 seconds into the game. right before the skirmish in mid lane, where their patient and clean execution allowed them to win a 2v3 fight and extend their lead with a subsequent Herald pickup. G2 would go on to take a comfortable lead going into the mid game and close out the match in just 28 minutes. The way G2's laners and jungler constantly interact in the early game helping each other out is one of many things that make them a top team. As they go into playoffs as favourites, pay close attention to these small interactions as they can go a long way to helping a team build advantages in the early game.